Hey guys, what's going on? It's Nigel here. And today we're going to talk about what really is hybrid training. So, I have a new definition of hybrid training, and it's something that I think can actually empower you even more and allow you to really understand what hybrid training is, what goals to set, and like what do we actually do? Like, how is this different from being any other kind of athlete, right? Don't all athletes like do multiple forms of training? Yes, but I think hybrid athlete has a few different nuances to it. So with being a hybrid athlete, the most common definition typically is, you know, mastering strength and endurance. And this was pretty popularized by Nick Bear. For example, he was a big traditional weightlifter, bodybuilding kind of guy, big guy, strong physique, and he built his foundations, in the strength training realm. And then he slowly started moving more into the endurance side, in particular with running. And essentially he started building this movement around simultaneously being exceptional in the gym and also in running long distance running, for example. Right. He was doing all kinds of things like running 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons. He eventually did an ultra marathon, and they even started getting into triathlons and did essentially all three forms of major endurance type of training, like cycling and swimming. And so that's typically what the 1.0 definition of what a hybrid athlete typically is. Mastering strength and endurance, typically running and lifting. But I'd also say that hybrid athletes also could be, let's say you don't like running, but you like cycling or swimming, for example. You can combine it with either of those. So typically just strength and endurance. And then I would also say something that's kind of drawn people to being a hybrid athlete is the fact that you have an athletic physique. And I think a lot of people, they don't want to kind of be like the typical, I guess like scrawny, like skinny kind of look that a lot of, let's say, just pure endurance athletes have. And obviously, if you want to be at the top and elite in long distance endurance, yeah, sure. Like being smaller and not being this like kind of, muscly, athletic, bodybuilding kind of looking guy is not to your advantage. But I mean, let's be real, most of us we're not gonna be able to compete in the Olympics and we're not professional athletes. Like we just want to be kind of like all around fit, strong guys. We want to look good, we want to feel good, we want to look, feel, and perform like a proper athlete, right? And so you know, let's be real. Like having a strong aesthetic physique is something that draws us to the whole hybrid athlete thing. And for example, like a perfect example of the ultimate hybrid athletes are like think about it, 100-meter, 200-meter sprinters in the Olympics. Like these guys they're essentially hybrid athletes, right? Like they're right, they can run and they do a lot of strength and power and explosive type of training. And they're very functional and they're fit and like, high testosterone. And yeah, like that those are like the ultimate hybrid athletes, and like that's kind of really the goal physique, to be honest. So that's another element to it as well. It's like having a strong physique alongside of strength, and choose one or two or three of your favorite endurance type of training methods. And then the next part that I personally want to expand upon is adding in some type of sport or maybe even like speed or agility type of training. So, for example, for me, I've played soccer my entire life, and so I have incorporated that into my, I guess, training or just like kind of fit active lifestyle. And for you, it could be basketball, or if you like volleyball or tennis or whatever you're into, you can combine that as part of your, like, I guess, hybrid athlete training, and that really makes you a strong overall, like, well-rounded athlete. And the great thing about this is the strength and endurance training actually allows you to become better at a lot of these sports and gives you the foundational kind of base and strength to perform at a really exceptional level. So all of these different training modalities actually feed off of each other. And the reason why I want to expand the definition of hybrid athlete to beyond just strength and endurance and physique is that by including some type of sports, or let's say speed, like sprint training or like agility training to it, it gives you a lot of more variety, and you don't get bored of how you go about your training. So, and the key thing about this is like when you're having fun with your training, you're more likely to be consistent with it, and when you're having fun with your training program, it requires less energy for you to go out and train because, for things that are typically fun, like you don't have to like muster up this discipline and like, oh, like grit your teeth, like I gotta go out here and train. It's like, no, you just naturally want to go out there and train because it's fun. Like things that are more fun require less energy, right? And so I would like to expand adding being a, let's say, multi-sport type of athlete, speed, agility training to the definition of hybrid athlete. This is what I call, hybrid training 2.0, right? We're strong, right? Strong, whether that's, explosive power, or just like pure raw strength, like power lifters, endurance training, choose your favorite forms of that, having a sick athletic physique that you feel good about and that you're proud of, and then combining with some of your favorite sports and maybe some speed and agility training. And then, you might be asking, okay, well, okay, we do that, like what's next? Okay, well, for an athlete, like don't athletes compete? Yes, exactly that. So as a hybrid athlete, like you have all kinds of different, potential competitions that you can go out and do. So for example, on the strength side, you could do something like do powerlifting competitions if you're into that. In endurance, right? Like for running, you can do all kinds of road races. You could do cycling, you could do swimming, you could do all three of them. You could do a triathlon. Like you could in sports, right? You could go out and play basketball. You can go play soccer, like join a men's league or something, join a team. Physique, like if you're really going to go hardcore, you could do like a men's physique competition or something like that, right? So there's so many different competitions you can do to like really test yourself and go out there and perform and compete like a real athlete. Even as like an adult that's not in school or whatever. There's all kinds of competitions that you can do and really push yourself and like kind of be in that community feel. And then nowadays there's high rocks, which is essentially the the big test for hybrid athletes. Is essentially a competition solely for hybrid athletes and really testing like, okay, well, how hybrid are you really? And me personally, I haven't done a high rocks. I actually plan on doing one next year, so stay tuned for that. But really, what it is, it's like a mix of like back and forth between like a 1 kilometer run and then all kinds of different like functional like fitness activities like the ski erg, the sled pushes, sled pulls, broad jumps, burpees, farmer carries, rows, wall ball, like lunges. And so that's actually a pretty tough competition. And so that's gonna be a fun one. So like, yeah, man, like whatever you're into, man, like you can train in whatever those modalities are and really be like a well-rounded, complete athlete. And the key thing about this too is it's like the goal here is to be above average or exceptional in almost all of these disciplines that you're choosing to do as a hybrid athlete, right? So, for example, my goal is to be as strong, if not stronger, than the average, kind of gym bro goer. So, for example, like I can go out there and I can deadlift and bench press and squat, just as much as the other guys in the gym, but I can also go out and go crush a freaking half marathon like the next week, like no problem. And so it's like really like you're not necessarily being elite at one thing, but you're, pretty great and exceptional at multiple things while looking sick doing it. So if I'm out here running a half marathon, a lot of people might be looking like this mad skinny, but I'm out here looking like a Greek sculpted god, running just as fast as some of them, right? And so that's really what the goal is. Okay. And then the next thing is like, okay, well, what type of goals should we be setting as hybrid athletes? Because that's really the North Star of and how we kind of reverse engineer and structure and create our training programs. Okay. So I have a few goals that I think are kind of standard hybrid athlete goals that I'm personally kind of pursuing or that I've seen other people do. And so, for example, you can set like physique goals. Like, is that like getting to a certain body fat percentage and like losing weight? Is that building muscle? Is that, let's say, I don't know, increasing arm size or like shoulder to hip, hip waist ratio or whatever? It could be strength goals like hitting a certain bench or deadlift or whatever, or kind of like Olympic lift. Is it increasing your VO2 max? Is it increasing your zone 2 endurance heart rate efficiency? So running at a faster pace at the same heart rate. Here's a good test to see if you're a really hybrid is, your deadlift to run ratio. Like, for example, if you can deadlift twice your body weight and run a sub 25K, you're a pretty damn good hybrid athlete to me, in my opinion. Um, and then there's, for example, if you do the high rocks, right? Like a pretty good time in the open high rocks is, an hour 15 minutes, or less. And then, for example, like, can you sprint? Like, can you run 20 meters to 100 meters with pretty good speed and form and power? Like, that's that's definitely something that you would want as a hybrid. And then there's, like, in running, let's say you want to run, like, set a PR in the mile or the 5K or the 10K or the marathon. There's also, just completing an ultra marathon, like, that's pretty impressive. Some go on to want to, compete in triathlons and do Ironmans and stuff like that. So this is just like a quick example of, like, potential hybrid athlete goals that you could kind of go for. But really what it is, like, the world is your oyster here. There's no one specific way on what a hybrid athlete should be. Your North Star should be is, okay, well, what are the type of training modalities that I really enjoy? Pick, 2 to 3, I would say maybe at max 4, type of training modalities that you would like. So, for example, I'll give you an example for me. I really like strength training. I like running, and I like soccer, and I want to continue building a strong physique. So those are like my 3 to 4 things. And then what I'll do is throughout the year, I'll plan the specific competitions that I want to go and do. So I'll find some races that I'm looking for, and then I'll join a men's league, soccer league, and compete in those. And I'm also going to do a high rocks later in late 2026. So those are like the main competitions and events that I'll be kind of looking to do. And then also setting a few of these goals that I'll kind of have like on the side and kind of make a note of and work towards those throughout the year, and then create a training program to reverse engineer my way to accomplishing those goals, and then also peaking at the right times for the competitions that I'm going to do throughout the year that I plan for. So that's what I think is, what a hybrid athlete is. I call it hybrid athlete 2.0. And really the goal here is just to make this as fun as possible, and just, make it very crystal clear on like what your goals are. And I think when you can do that, you are way more incredibly motivated. You have clarity on what you actually need to train for, how to structure that training, and you just have a strong, you know, compass and a map to go for, right? Because with hybrid training, it can get very confusing. It's like, okay, like, well, I guess I train everything. Like, what do I do? Like, how do I measure like how good of a hybrid athlete I am? This is the exact blueprint. Okay. So get clear on what these are, and then we can move on from there on your hybrid athlete journey. So I'll see you in the next video. Peace.